Would you like to go down the row and introduce you guys self?
I am Frank Karr. I live here in Herculaneum.
Elmer Meng, I'm 81.
William Cresswell, I'm 86.
Oscar J. Tiny Torrence, 84. Herculaneum.
Tiny Torrence, is that what you said?
Tiny Torrence.
Okay,
And nobody else probably knows me, boss.
would you like to explain that?
Was I supposed to say my age?
Yeah. And how old are you?
I'll be 85 in April.
Oh, okay.
When did you guys move to Herculaneum?
We moved here in 1922 from Meng, Missouri.
All of you are 1922?
No, 1952 from Crystal City.
I come here in 23 from volunteer the first time. My dad worked for St. Joe when we was transferred to volunteer, and then they came back in 26. Been here twice.
I came from Old Mines, Missouri when I was 6 years old, 6 months old, in 1922.
Alright. And where in Herky did you guys live? Yeah, go ahead.
We lived on Thorwell Street, we lived on Hillwood Street, we lived on Long Street, we lived on Dunklin Drive, which was Merrimack Road, and we lived downtown on School Street. Over there.
Oh. So you lived everywhere, pretty much.
Frank, you sound like me. Every time the rent came due, I think we moved. Where did I live in Herculaneum? 887 High Street. And well, as I said, we moved there in 1952 from Crystal City. And I believe that answers the question that you asked.
Yeah. I used to live on High Street too. I was your neighbor. Remember?
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, I don't even remember. We moved too many times for me to remember. The last house was on Broadway in Maine. It's up to you where you lived in town. It's your next.
So you can remember, huh?
Can you remember?
Well, let's see. When we first moved to Herculaneum, our family lived on Hill Street in 2 different addresses. I mean, not at the same time, of course, you know. And then we moved to Barclay Street out here, first house. Then when I got married, my wife and I moved down the Double T Highway. And we moved back. We moved to Peevely, a little rental house over there. And I had a tavern downtown, and we had an apartment behind there, and we moved there for a little while. Then I moved over on 5th Street, 6th Street in Festus. Then we came back here, and I moved in the last house on Thorwell Street on the left, going south. And from there, we built our own home out there on the Joachim Golf Course subdivision, or St. Jolette subdivision, by the Joachim Golf Course. And we've been there since 1955. And I'm here now.
Still here, huh?
In other words, he lives out in Graveyard Flats.
That's what we call them, Graveyard Flats. Right next to the cemetery.
You're probably gonna have to ask them. So like, your next question started like, Mr. Whoever.
Okay.
And then he can answer that question. And then we'll just kind of, we're all 4 of them answer the questions, but start the question with a different one
Right.
each time.
Right.
Because they're not normal to
Okay.
start and stuff.
Okay. Okay, this guy's. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so We'll start with Bill on this one. Okay? So you lived in Herculaneum. Did you attend school at Herculaneum?
From the second grade on,
And did you play sports in high school or?
I was hurt. I got hurt when I was a sophomore, so I didn't do any of that stuff.
What about you, Frank?
I went to school here till I was in the 4th or 5th grade, and my folks moved to Elmo for a short time. And that was it.
Elmer?
What's the question? Where I went to school?
Yeah, or did you play sports if you were in school?
No, I was like Bill. I started high school here. Well, let me get back here. Where did I go to school? Here it is. Well, first, I started school at the Lutheran Church over in Peevely. And then I left, whenever I left there, I went to Peevely Lutheran Church. I went there 2 different times. Then I went to Zion Church. I went to Barnhart Church 2 times. I went to Sulphur Springs 3 times. And I went about 3 months here to high school. And I had the appendix operation right before that, and I couldn't play sports. So, well, I'll tell you, things were so tough back then that I only had 1 pair of pants, and I finally decided that I wasn't going to wear go to high school like that, so I just quit, and I didn't finish high school. But I went to plenty of grade schools, I'll tell you that.
And like many times as Frank moved.
Well, I told you a while ago, every time the rent came due, we moved.
What about you, Oscar? What grade did you
Well, first I went to grade school, something Catholic school, until the 3rd grade. Then the school closed down there, of course. And I came up here and I finished the 3rd grade here. Then I went to freshman. And after the freshman year, I quit school for a year. I came back and went through my sophomore year. And I still wasn't happy, so I quit. And by that time, I was eligible to go in the military. So I enlisted in the U.S. Coast Guard. And I played some basketball while I was in high school here. And let's see, no track. I think basketball, maybe a little bit of softball. And that's all the sports I was in here.
Frank, did you or your family work in Herculaneum? Or?
My dad worked for St. Joe Lead Company. I worked for St. Joe Lead Company over 45 years. My brother Alonzo worked for him for about 10 years, and my younger brother Louis worked for him for about that long. And my son works there now. And I thought it was a good place to work. I never had no lead all the time he was there. My dad never had no lead, neither one of my brothers. Gene had lead. Good.
What about you, Elmer?
Let me ask you a question. Are we supposed to include our wives? Is this a family deal or just us personally?
You can include your wives. That'd be good.
I mean, because, okay, we almost have to go back and start over. Okay, where did I go to school? I think I just told you that.
No, did you or your family work in Herculaneum?
Oh, yes. My wife, well, I'll just go back and pick her up. My wife was born here. She was up on the Thurwell Street, and she was the daughter of Edna and Everett Knott, and her name was Dorothy, and nickname was Dot, naturally. And she went to school here, 1 through 12, and then she went to Fontbonne and took some courses, and Harris Stowe College. And I think that I already said that I went to school, I'll get down into churches now. I think that answered the question, didn't it?
Yeah. That's good. Bill, how about you? Did you work at
My
Herculaneum?
dad
with
and
your
I
family?
both worked for St. Joe.
Oh, okay. And what were the wages like whenever you guys started working for
I
CHS?
don't have any idea. He was on salary, so I don't have any idea what it was. When I first went to work there in '39, it was $4.25 a day,
Huh?
give and take.
I think
And then I went to
385.
service.
$3.85 for you, huh? All right. And Oscar, what about you?
My father worked at the St. Joe Lead Company. Pardon me. My stepfather worked at St. Joe Lead Company.
That's right.
My brother worked there, my older brother. The younger brother also worked there. And when I came back from the military, I worked there for 6 months. And I got laid off, and I did other things, which we'll come to later. And, let's see, the wages, I remember that, I worked there in '47, I think they were about 50 some odd dollars per week. But back, and I remember some of the boys that went to the apprenticeship down there,
$3.
were making $21 a week.
Yeah.
I think they had to go, what, 3 years for that?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't cover my working, so naturally, when I didn't go to school, I had to earn some money, so I cut grass and things like that. I think I worked for an old man by the name, pardon me, I worked for Mr. McCormick up above Sulphur Springs. I cut grass and took care of the yard and stuff like that, and dusted his car every morning before he took off for St. Louis. And they paid me $5 a week for that. And then I went to work for Sight at the filling station up here at right south of Barnhart it was. And I worked 72 hours a week for $17 a week. And Monday was my day off. And so then a fellow by the name of Herb Eves, his son, works here, Ron. And he got me a job in St. Louis, and I worked in St. Louis until I went into the service, and I made $1 an hour up in St. Louis. This was in 1943. And when I came back from service, well, they wouldn't hire me, so that's when I went to work for St. Joe, and I went to work for St. Joe. And I worked there about 3, maybe 4 months on night contract, and that was one hell of a job. And, huh? Yeah, your pants legs stand on top of those cars, and the food come up off of the oar, and your pants you try to use water to cool it down with, your pants legs would freeze ice on you. It was hell.
Red?
But what?
Were there any good jobs for the labor man down there?
Yeah, I started as a laborer. I don't remember what I made, but I made, I never did make over 50
Well, you said it was a hell of a job, I just want to know if there's any good jobs down there.
You must have unloaded.
Not that I know.
Well, now, I worked.
Back then there wasn't, but I think, I gotta give Doe Run credit though. Doe Run has came a long way, and I admire them for what they've done, what they're doing. They're helping the city and everything. They're doing for the city like Pittsburgh Glass used to do for Crystal City, and it's great to see them do this. It's a shame that we had to get everybody out of Old Town, but and it's a shame that the DNR didn't let them rent those houses to some senior citizens or something. But I have to admire Doe Run for what they're doing now. I really do. And
Why they couldn't rent those houses.
well, to get back to my labor, then I went to the service, and I was a POW. And when I came back, I went to work. That's when I went to work down here, and I worked. Then I quit that job. I got so I couldn't open up my hands. And so I went to work for in St. Louis for Standard Auto Parts, and I worked up there for 25 years. I left there and worked about 3 years for another machine shop. Then Red Horner says they're gonna start an evening shift at River Cement. And he said they want somebody to be a maintenance foreman. So I went to River Cement and I worked 16 years there until 1985. They hired me on April Fool's Day, and they booted me out the day before April Fool's Day, 15 years later. And I was retired, and then I didn't want to do nothing, so the city needed a canine officer, so I done that for 7 years. And then I quit that, and after that I stayed retired. That's it.
Pretty interesting. So you're the only one that did not work at St. Joe?
No, I worked at St. Joe
Oh, you
about
did?
3 months on
3
that
months,
on
that's
that
right.
on that night contract, and I think some of these fellows here will tell you what it was.
You hauled all the coons out of town too.
Yeah.
Or they,
Okay, moving along.
I shouldn't say this, but I got so teed off one night, and I went to lunch, and I had one of those cars. It was hot. There was a ball of fire in that thing like that. I turned the water on while I went to lunch. And Bill Robb was running the crusher at that time. And he come upstairs and he says, "Who in the hell turned the water on?" He says, "My crusher's about to float away down there." So that was some things that happened.
now, I worked on that contract and I didn't have no trouble in those days.
You didn't? Yeah, I guess not. They had all new cars and they was nice and slick probably.
No.
They just slide out.
The guy that I worked with showed me how to unload them. And if you didn't, you were to Faneuil.
Yeah, I know.
Alright, so moving right along. I know personally I experienced the flood of 1993, but before that, do you guys remember any disasters that happened in Herculaneum? Tornadoes, floods, anything like that?
I remember a tornado in '29, and it blew the front of Karl the tailor, the front of his tailor shop out there. Now there was several floods, as I remember, but I can't put the dates on them. But the water got up to the bridge, but I don't ever remember getting over the bridge until, see, I wasn't here in '44, so I don't
Okay, Oscar, what about you?
What's your question?
Do you remember any disasters, tornadoes, floods, anything like that in the town of Herculaneum?
If you've been here since '23, you've seen a lot of them.
Well, the only ones I can remember actually is, one time we had a high wind, I don't know whether a tornado or just a straight wind or what, and blew the front end of one of those businesses downtown. I think Butch Rapp was in there at the time.
That's Karl the tailor.
Is that one Mr. Bolton?
Yeah, another time I remember when the schoolhouse burned over here, the high school.
When was that?
Oh, it must be been about 1946.
47.
47?
Yeah, because we had just got married and it burned on a Sunday, didn't it?
It was on a Sunday, yeah.
And we went down to Potosi to buy lumber to build a new house.
And another one really sticks out in my mind. I was rather young, of course. They had a train wreck at Sulphur Springs up here, bad one. And a lot of people got killed in it. I don't know exactly how.
Well, that was 1927, I think, Tony, along in there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I know it was a long time ago. And that's about the only disastrous things I could think about.
Well, we've had a couple of floods.
Oh, well, that's natural. It's not
Yeah,
a disaster.
didn't-
That's a
That was not
disaster.
covered.
Didn't some lumber
That covers
companies or
it?
something burn? Didn't one of the lumber companies or something burn? Of course, it wasn't in here, but it was a disaster, I think.
That's one down, that's down Festus.
Yeah,
That was in
bowling alley
Festus,
burst down, that was all down
That was
Festus.
Wagner. That was in Festus.
Any other? No more?
Bill, do you remember anything or activities you guys did down the river? Joachim?
Well, years ago, we had a ferry down there. that everybody had the right deal noise on. There was old Joe B. DeClue would say, "Goodbye, you good United States." Remember him?
Who's that?
Joe B. DeClue.
Joe Mead? Yeah.
Bill, didn't somebody pull on that thing with a truckload of coal and sink it?
I know, that seems like it.
As a load of
Huh?
lime from Belmar.
That's what it
It's
was.
going to Pittsburgh. It was,
Yeah.
it was white rock that they polished the glass with.
Yeah.
And that rock never had no sunshine on it anytime. It was a special
Okay.
rock.
Frank, do you remember anything else you guys did?
Well, yeah, I remember the boat had come down and take people riding. It had steam margins on it. And it tied up right down the hill from the Methodist church. And it was a little wagon road down there. People walked down there and rode it. And also when we lived on McMurray Farm, that's out the end of Duncan Drive, we shipped the cow to St. Louis and took her down to Riverside and loaded her on a boat. And there used to be a garbage boat come down the river. You guys remember that? And you could smell it.
Yeah.
And once a week.
It came down the river and then jumped a little farther down the river.
Toward the Crystal City.
Hog Island down there.
Hog Island, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the frontin' raising hogs, boot lady making whiskey.
Elmer, do you remember anything else you guys want to know?
Well, yes, in I'd say the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, there was a lot of boat riding on the river, and a lot of skiing, and a lot of wiener roast and stuff down there at nighttime, a lot of beer drinking.
No, Bill don't know anything about that. He's innocent.
And but getting back, I remember that he was talking about that showboat. I lived in Peevely, and on a summer night you could hear the music from that boat as it went down the river. Yes, there was a lot of activity on the river down here. Then they I don't know. I think they did get a boat club started at one time, didn't they, Tiny?
Yeah, but yeah, they used to put in here quite a bit, the local guys.
Yes, this was all local. Yeah. Sidey Clue, he was a regular river rat almost.
Sign Martin Booyer and Red
And,
Harder.
Yeah, Red Harder and Martin Booyer and
together.
Oscar, you remember anything else?
Waiting to ask Oscar the question as soon as the class is all getting back to the class. 'Cause there's gonna be another class coming in here, and I'll have to shut them off before they get in.
Years ago, when they had remember the boat that had the calliope on it was Cotton Blossom, was the name of the boat. And when it was coming up the river, they played that all the way up the river. But that boat was a barge and it had a pusher on it. And it was called the Cotton Blossom. What year did it freeze over?
back in the 30s.
35 and 40.
Well, I remember seeing Guy Hughes walk across it.
Yeah, it was pretty young. I was pretty young.
I walked across it up at Bushburg in 35.
Okay.
And they
all
wanted
right.
me to walk again in 40, but I had this experience once.
I remember.
Did it freeze it over again in 40, Frank?
Yeah.
Do you guys remember Orville Gerard? Any of you?
Who?
Orville Gerard?
Orville Gerard.
Oh, yeah.
That's my grandpa.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He used to work for the old meat
The butcher?
butcher. He was a butcher over at Sears.
Yep.
Bud, we call him Bud.
Yeah,
Bud,
fine.
we
I
call
didn't know if
him
you
now.
know by that.
Okay, now.
Oh, yeah, I know now. I know him. real
Was your
well.
neighbor up
Yeah,
there?
he used to be my neighbor.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Hmm?
What was the name of it?
That's Orville, they said.
Yeah, but-
Bud. That Bud's all I knew him by.
But,
What was his last name again?
Gerard.
I knew it, Gerard.
When she said, oh, well, I didn't know what she was talking about. She said,
Yeah.
Bud.
I did, because I knew him pretty
Well,
well, too.
He used to deliver for Claude Lufkill about 4 o'clock in the morning. He'd be over there to unload the truck. But when I first came out of service in 45.
You had,
Here's,
Hey, Laurie,
and I was.
this gentleman comes back, hold the phone till I get back. I got a
Across there with-
photo in the car I just had made.
No way.
I'll bring it, let
Where's
me
the
look at
Gerard?
it. Okay?
You want me to go in it?
Pardon?
I can go in it.
Well,
Where you park it?
you got to give you a key right out in front.
You got your truck or your car?
That car. Truck.
Hey, Bill,
The truck.
you still got that picture of that house with the big porch on the front
I
of
think
it?
it's in the front seat.
Well, the two that I found will confirm that that was a porch where it was down in the office. The ones I got on wheels.
Two bags in there.
Ricky Patterson's been over here about 5
Walmart.
times to try and see you, but I guess you
Like I
can't
said,
get in to
it's a
see you.
little fast.
Ricky Patterson's been over, she said to tell you that she tried.
I'm getting you some pictures made of them.
Front row.
Bill, I'm sorry I forgot that scrapbook, but I'll get with you on it.
Okay, did Mr. Patterson ask you,
Did any of you fellas ever hear of a guy named Sam Hildebrand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard he was sort of an outlaw.
Yeah.
And I heard that he was supposed to have shot a man right down here at the ferry in Herculaneum.
Oh, yeah. I never heard that.
That one I didn't hear. I can't help you.
Well, one guy I ever remember being shot in Hercules, that Dick,
Who?
oh yeah, know that, I mean.
Melba Dex.
Melba Dick's father.
All right.
1917.
Hold the phone a minute. I've got a picture coming down on the color.
Yeah, what?
Lori went to get a picture. All right. So keep us off of the video.
Do you remember when they made the Baptist church bigger?
No, I didn't, Frank. Oh, yeah.
What's that?
Yeah,
When they
yeah.
made the Baptist church bigger?
Or if you was doing this.
I
Well,
don't think so.
I can't remember. No. That was when, you know, you talk about living. When I first moved to town, the little house is still the 2-story house that, you know, that string of houses. Roy Taylor lived in the brick house, and then Manning's, and then Kyble's, and then Cleve's, and the 2-story house. We lived in it for a while, and then the clubhouse, and then that was on what they call staff.
Oh, that's not right.
Oh,
We always,
We should do a WW2.
seemed like we moved about every 2 years. I don't know.
Do you remember when there was a boarding house downtown where the employees boarded?
Yeah.
That's not the hotel.
Oh,
See, there's a hotel there, I forget their names.
Where the hotel?
Yeah,
I thought that hotel.
I know.
all right, but
Cromer.
down where the scale house is now, there was a boarding house down there, and they tore it down in the,
Frank, his name was Bill Cromer.
yeah.
He also boarded them up there.
Coach Pat.
Major.
Coach Pat, come here.
No, it's, I don't know why it's,
It's not on anyway.
yeah, the screw probably, yeah, it's on, buddy.
Oh.
He's on.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you win.
Yeah, the screw, I guess, maybe we'll just put it like this and it'll stay.
I go out to the truck and get a ball peen hammer.
Yeah, that's all it is. Okay, hurry on. There we go.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Oscar, what else do you remember from the river? You guys doing anything else?
Well, several things. We used to go down there and swim. We
Yeah.
swam in Sandy Creek, Gillespie Creek, Mississippi River in the nude. We used to have a mud slide up around the whole line. There wasn't much water in it, just like when the dam broke here. There wasn't much water in it. And that's before, well, they didn't have a dam. Then there was a deep hole up there around the whole line. We used to go up there and swim in there. We made us a mud slide off the bank coming down into it. We'd slide down in the water off the mud bank.
Did any of you guys ever try swimming across the Mississippi?
Do what?
Did you ever try swimming across the Mississippi?
I swam in it a lot.
You did?
Never crossed.
No, I don't think so.
We used to have a lot of winter roads down there, I remember that. See what else we do for fun.
All right. So what was Herculaneum? What was it like? What did it go through between, like in the Depression or in World War II? How was Herculaneum then?
Can I go back just a little far?
Yeah, sure.
Well,
Oh, you're on the next page.
this is, let's see, we'll go back in the 20s.
Okay.
People was more friendly. You knew everybody all over town.
Uh-huh.
About Herculaneum back during,
Right
The Depression.
in the late
Depression.
20s.
Oh, Depression.
Baptist church in
Number
Herculaneum, major church
14.
leader.
All right.
All right, and my dad took his community, sent his community, and slip. And they said, now you don't know what a slip is, but this is what you go behind and load it and take the teams and pull it out there. And I drove the team on the deck of the whole basin. And the people in town from all denominations and churches come down there and volunteer in the church. That was one thing.
Okay. What about you, Bill? What was Herculaneum like during World War II or the Depression?
the Depression, it was tough. What few people got to work for St. Joe got to work 1 week a month. If they was fortunate.
Sometimes 3 days.
Yeah. About 3 days a month. Of course, all the houses that they lived in weren't too convenient.
And running water outside.
Well, they had chick seals out and back by the coal shed. But other than that, and then the WPA came along and that helped out a whole lot. But it was just tough, that's all there was to it. And one of the time,
I'm gonna say a few things when you get on.
you're cut loose.
Me too.
Well, I remember one thing, we all had an outhouse,
Yeah.
no indoor plumbing. And one thing we used to do for fun at the Halloween was go dump people's outhouses over.
Don't forget the
Turn them over.
Turn people's outhouses over?
Pardon?
You said you turned people's outhouses over?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
one time, somebody turned one over that it had an occupant in it.
Who was that old gentleman?
I don't remember who it was.
It was over on Hill Street, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it was on Hill Street, I don't remember.
It was on Hill Street, I know that.
We used to play on those bluffs down on the Mississippi River.
Right.
There was a cave down here across the trestle.
Mhm.
We used to play around that cave down there and hang out with the hobos. We had a jungle. You know what a jungle is?
A jungle?
Yeah,
Where they all
hobos.
meet. Where they all meet and they
Oh.
have coffee and they come in town and bum meals. My mother would feed one of them or two of them. And we used to get down there and bum around with them, you know, just have fun. They're nice guys, nothing never happened bad, you know, with them.
A hobo would work, a bum wouldn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's how they got fed.
And this was all in the time of the Depression?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
There was another big hobo camp, right down on the river, but from, down from straight out there, I'm sure you can.
Elmer, how about you?
Yes, I can remember the hobos, and they usually, they rode trains, is what they did. They'd ride on the trains, and when they got to a place they thought, a small town, I imagine they was treated better in a small town than they was in the city.
I imagine.
And, but all I put down here was hell, no money, and little food.
Good expression.
So in the Depression, how old would you guys have been?
Well, I was born in 1925, so I was 4 years old. But the Depression lasted a lot longer than 1929. That was the whole thing, because I can remember all the way back up into the 30s, things were tough yet then. And then Pittsburgh started hiring, and I think Doe Run picked up. They started hiring, and like what's called said the WTA, and I think then the government came out with the 3 C's. Didn't they come out with the 3 C's also for young people? And they done a lot of park work. In fact, I think the 3 C's made Washington State Park down there.
That's where they was. That's where the camp was.
And so President Roosevelt came up with a lot of good ideas to get us out of the Depression. Thank God.
Well, my dad always farmed where the Grand Lake now is, and across the creek was a golf park was. It used to be a big ball park where it is now. And every Sunday morning, my dad would take his team in there and work right on that old part of the farm.
Right.
But during the Depression, we always had plenty to eat because we raised vegetables and pepper corn, had it ground in cornmeal, wheat, and took and made flour out of it. And most everybody had chickens in town.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of hog pens fed out through town. And we had
This was in the 40s, I believe, but you used to be able to go into Doe Run, go into the restaurant and eat.
A restaurant?
They had their own restaurant. You could go in off the street and eat. I believe some people even went in and took showers and stuff, didn't they?
That was probably a lot before that too.
That was a long time before that.
Was it?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we used to go in there when we were young, take a shower, bathroom, and they let you do that. Nobody was there to keep you out.
all right.
Take a shower and use the restroom and play in there and whatever, you know.
The beginning of the war, they put a fence around well, they had it on Main Street, but they put it around the whole place, didn't they?
I don't remember when they put the fence. I wasn't here. I was in the Army.
Yeah, I was in the military too.
On Main Street, there was a fence always.
I was visiting with the governor.
I remember when they sewered the town about in 39, I think, when they was doing it.
I can go back when they wired the house, put electric in it.
Pardon?
27, when they put electric lights in the house.
37?
27,
When they put what in your house?
electric.
Oh, electric, I'm talking about the sewer.
Yeah, I know, that was in the 40s.
Oh,
Well, WPA put the sewers in, didn't it?
No,
Or that part of it?
I don't really know.
no, St. Joe paid for all that.
I'm pretty sure.
Did their people do the work? That's what he said.
Oh, no, they paid the contractors.
Oh, okay. Frank, what was that big? There used to be a mound that you could look out there, and there was something sitting on top of it, and us kids used to see who was good enough to throw a rock from the street out there to hit that thing.
No.
There was something out there in the center.
St. Joe?
Yeah, where the tracks come down.
Up at Coastal Ferry Road. Or was it over
Yeah, up there.
Wasn't that a water tank?
Yeah, I think there was something out there with something sitting on top of it. I don't remember that. I remember us kids seeing if we could throw a rock out.
Oh, that was a light, transportation light for the boats on the river. Channel, they marked the channel back and forth like that. every time you had to go from one side of the river to the other, there was a light there. You had to hit that light, and then you get to the next one up the river.
Well, I remember us kids doing that.
Sitting there on a tripod, big tripod.
All right, Frank. You remember any kind of businesses or shops around here back in the
Oh,
day?
In Herculaneum,
Yep.
we had two
How much
drag,
time have you got?
How much time you got?
As long as you guys want to talk about it.
How much?
we had two dry goods stores, two big ones. Wax down Herculaneum and Levy up on top of the hill. We had, a lot of mom and pop stores all over town. And,
Frank, don't forget,
I'll give you a rundown
forget,
here in a minute.
don't forget the company store, because the company store was just like old Ernie said in the song. He only sold to the company store. The company store was there. The guys at the plant would work. They put their food on the store bill. They took the store bill out of their check before they ever got it. And that was the reason that they owed their soul to the company store. That's where that came from.
So
If their store bill was higher than a check, they didn't get a check.
So they'd work for food basically for the.
Isn't that right?
downtown.
I got a pretty good list if you got time to listen to it.
He's got a good one.
You guys probably all remember the same thing.
Pardon?
You probably all remember some of the same.
Well, I got a little more to add to some of the stuff they've been talking.
Cut loose. I confirm
Okay.
all of it.
Business and proprietors. We'll start out with Puss Terrace Store, right over here behind the tavern on the corner, next building. And it was owned by Bill Pusterary. And Dave Levy, going down Main Street, he had a grocery store. Going on down the line, say Bill Levy Company had a store. C.C. Watts had one downtown. His name was Clem. And Lupke had one, called him Deacon Lupke. He was down there where the parking lot is, across from their lab. And it was a grocery store. His name was Homer Lupke. And we also had a Kroger store in town. Remember that, Frank? Yeah. Had a Kroger store. I don't know who managed that, but IGA, of course, Jim and Ruth's house came later and had that down here where the ambulance all is. And Walter Nixon had a little store up right here somewhere.
Along down where we're sitting, I think.
Yeah, right here.
There's a store right here.
Yeah, a little store. And they lived in part of it.
Limited amount of groceries, but keep our bread, milk, and little meat and stuff like that. And you're sitting right on top of it. Let's see what else they got here. Dixon. There used to be a store right across the highway where the parking lot is for the high school down here. The two-story house there, a little narrow
Watts
two-story house.
built that.
Who owned that?
Watts built it.
Did Watts Bit start out there?
He built it, his wife run it, and he run a store downtown.
Now, I know that the Snyders lived there.
Yeah.
When they went to school here. John
The
Snyder.
Marys lived there, had a St. Clair filling station in front of it.
That was after,
Yeah, and later on.
yeah.
And the road used to go from Hillside.
Billy Barnes.
Fairwell and
Yeah.
then back of it.
Billy
Yeah.
Barnes and his wife lived there. Okay. I think that's all of the
But
businesses except the taverns. If you want to hear that now, I'll go ahead and take that.
No, go ahead. Businesses,
Go ahead.
did you say taverns?
Taverns, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now, understand, all these weren't here at the same time.
Right.
Sometime or other, the name I'm gonna give you and the buildings were occupied by the same proprietor.
Right.
Let's see. Artesian Park Lounge, everybody knows where that is.
Where's that?
Artesian Park, right across the old ridge down
Mm-hmm.
here. So that was one of the old standbys, and the first one I remember in there for at Tavern Park was Reuben Green. You know Reuben Green, Red?
Yes, I sure do.
Jake Ertzleben, please report to the main office. Jake Ertzleben, please report to the main office.
And then Bob Ravenscraft had a Pete McGrain hat. And that's the only one I remember having that. And there was Tiny's Bar, of course. O.J. Tiny Torrence on that. That was downtown on the third, not Main Street, but what's the other down there? Anyway, and there was White's Tavern, owned by Arthur Preacher White. It was downtown. And there's other proprietors, unnamed taverns, Bud Sparks, Joe Roser, Sammy DeClue, Mary Lou and Pug Moppin, Chub Moss, W.G. Gar Dunnigan, and Harry Chick Williams. I think that's all I can remember that. Yeah.
Where was Judge White's still?
Huh?
Where did Judge White have his still?
I didn't know he had one, but I had a couple other names I needed.
There was a still up
Well, I used to collect whiskey bottles for
Well, I
him.
know, I did too.
They done,
The judge was up there behind where Mary Knocky lives, down there in the hall.
Well,
Had a hog pen up there.
the two I know was, I kind of hate to mention their names, but what's the difference?
they're out of town to go, maybe.
One of them was Irondale Horn,
Yeah.
and he was right over here on the corner behind that two-story house I was telling you across the high school parking lot, right up there in that place. And there was one up on Hill Street, past his other tavern, Wes Tucker.
Which Tucker?
Wes Tucker. He wasn't in the can of the other Tucker, he lived up the street. But he used to sell whiskey out there, and they had square dances like every Saturday night over there. And wild ones.
So Oscar, you attended some of these taverns then?
Pardon?
Did you attend some of these taverns?
You own
Well,
one?
let's see.
You own one.
Oh, you owned one.
A little later on in life. But we used to have some dances out there, Miller's Resort, and us younger boys go out there quite a bit. Have a little fun. Another thing we used to have fun at was throwing mud balls off of neighbor's stick at cars coming down this highway right here.
Yeah, but you always put them on a sapling.
Yeah, something limber where you could flip it.
Wood. And don't forget it had a piece of slag in the middle of it.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
I did. And you know, we didn't have paved streets, we had slag streets. And if you didn't fall down and cut your fingers off,
But we didn't have much to play with
then you
either.
come home and mom would pour iodine in it.
Are we still on the,
That was before mercurochrome. Iodine came first.
are we still on the depression thing?
If you have something to add, you can. We.
No, I'll go ahead while I've got the floor.
All right.
I don't have too much to say about it. I said, I got a note here, it says we didn't realize how tough it was until we, grew up and looked back at it, of course. And for example, what we had for Christmas was oranges and apples and candy. There was no presents.
Ice cream on the 4th of July.
Remember when they had the Baptist
No
garden
money for
across the
parents, hold
depot?
on a minute. No money for presents, and none of my family ever owned a bicycle or a softball glove. And that was one of the hardships, or a baseball glove. That's some of the things I can remember.
Right.
Another thing that we used to do when these kids was play marbles. And we did a wheel, a piece of wire, and make a hook out of it, roll it up down the sidewalk and the streets.
Back
You ever
in
do
Florida,
that?
where they called the railroad tracks.
That's roller skate.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you guys are talking about some of the things you did for fun, like throw mud balls and tip over, what was that? John's, yeah. So, is there anything else? Elmer, could you add anything else that you guys did for fun?
Used to, there was a lot of ice skating on the creek down there.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think it's been closed over for years.
What question are you on now?
Oh, I just asked you, what did you do for fun when you were younger?
Biggest part of this was support. You couldn't do that.
Better not tell Flip Wilson's answer to that question. What did we do for fun? We played cards, we went to ball games. Herculaneum at one time really had a baseball team here. In fact, Feld Chevrolet sponsored a team in St. Louis, and they had never lost a game until they came to Herculaneum, and Herculaneum beat them. They had some good teams here, and we used to go to the shows and go dancing and go bowling. But this was all later. During the Depression, if you had a deck of cards, that's what you done in the evening. You played cards. And back then, I know I had an uncle. Those farm boys would walk 6-7 miles to play ball on Sunday. And they had a field over here at Peevely. And then later on, they had this field here. And I don't know whether you youngsters know it or not, but at one time, this field out here was a pond. People fished in it. You remember that, Frank?
Right out here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Over here where the football, yeah, that, and then there's here between Watts, and up there was water in there all the time, little fish.
You talking about the baseball field?
Yeah.
We used to have one down there across Artesian
Yeah.
that had a lot of bleacher seats in it.
Yeah.
Covered bleachers.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
That's when Bob Horn and
Yeah. Dump Thomas,
Randy, Duck Thomas,
Butler Brothers.
oh,
Yeah.
Crowley Adams,
Yeah, and Johnny McCoy.
Johnny McCoy, and
He's a second baseman, boy.
Second base.
Okay, Bill, you have anything to add? What did you do for fun?
Let's see. I'll throw something on you now.
Years ago, remember when they had the Baptist Island, they had the garden across from the depot, you walked across the bridge, and they had a big garden, it was a community garden.
Yeah,
They called it Baptist Island.
anybody could take a spot down there and make a garden. Vegetables or
that's right, depression.
And there used to be a shirt factory here right up the street.
Yeah.
Didn't they?
Yeah, it's just up on the corner up here, where that stump is right now, where they broke that tree up, it was in there someday.
Yeah, it was right there, where that little house is there.
Is that where?
Yeah.
Yes, it was up here, right where Phil Bates used to live, I believe.
Well, it was down the hill. Just
Down a little bit.
Down the hill from there.
Yeah.
Well, then Don Freiner.
Well, it was right where Shriner's house
Where
was.
Friners live.
Yeah.
That's where the church building was.
what's that you're talking about?
The shirt factory,
Shirt factory.
There's a shirt factory and a dairy.
then the dairy.
Yeah.
Same little building. And there was a Pentecost church later on, at the end there. That's when, after that, they moved out of there. The skating rink was in business.
Well, yeah.
Roller skating rink.
Roller skates.
And they tore it down, I don't know, for some reason or other, and they built a house. Another thing that I'm not too proud of, it's kind of fun. There used to be a local freight train coming through here, all concentrate up here at Doe Run. And it'd have to go up to to Riverside, and switch, turn around and come back on there. And we used to hop that freight train, those kids, and had an apple orchard over there at Riverside. Right across from the flea market. We'd go up there and get us a few apples, have some fun, and when the guy got ready to do switching his cars up there, we'd hop him again and come back there.
How many watermelons did you get?
Oh, it's a lot, yeah, I forgot about that, I was gonna bring that up.
Hey,
before the new highway was in.
Yeah.
All the traffic came right here.
Yeah, this is right, the main drag.
Yeah.
And those trucks back in those days, you know, they only had a certain speed going uphill, which wasn't very much. You could almost walk and catch it. Used to be a lot of watermelon shipped from down in the, we call it Swamp East, it's down the Boot Hill. They grew the watermelons down there and then they transported them into St. Louis on these trucks. When they come through here, we jump on there and get us watermelon.
Have the guy standing there and pass it to him?
Yeah.
Then when they moved
This one, every once in a while, there's watermelon all over the place.
and when they built the new highway, we could still jump, but we had to run a little faster. Yeah.
Yeah, that apple orchard time is still, where that flea market lives, that was all apple orchard too.
Oh, really?
That's where the Teamsters
On these watermelon.
golf course is over there too.
I never was over there doing.
Palmer shine over
Yeah.
When they got over there on that hill, people got wise and they'd get down there and then they'd get a hold of the truck, they get in there, they'd hit their hands.
Oh yeah, Frank. What kind of transportation did you or your family have?
Our main transportation was horse and wagon.
Horse and wagon?
Good old days.
What about you, Elmer?
Well, do you know what Shanks Pony is?
Nope, that's walking.
Right here.
Right down here, walking. That was the one, then a horse, then a bike, and then finally auto.
What about you, Bill?
Walking than anything.
Yeah. What about you, Bill?
My dad had a Model T Ford. That's one that's got 3 pedals. The one on the left was forward, the one in the middle was the reverse, and the one on the right was the brake. And if the brake didn't work, you used the reverse to stop.
Okay.
I talked about this transportation. Remember that? I don't remember what year it was, but my grandfather Karr had been down there, so remember the water part, I didn't know. And they did a leaf absence from St. Joe, and we went down there for the summer, and we moved down there in a horse and wagon. That was about Saturday.
What about you, Oscar?
Well, the first one I remember, my father, before he passed away, we had a Model T Ford also. And when he mentioned those 3 clutches, I got a little story to go along with that. Used to be a gentleman lived right up here, a little bit older than us. We all ran together anyway. And somebody was talking about those pedals down there one day, and he said, that's 3 clutches down there. And that day on, that was his nickname, 3 clutch in the wall. Oh, and then we always had a car. And, not the best, but we had a little transportation. That was for going back and forth to work mostly. Or maybe on weekends, we'd visit our relatives down in Washington County. Down there. That was it.
Tony, are you gonna mention any more? You got more business to mention later on?
I don't know. You got some more?
Well, we had Dugan had a
Oh, I got that in here somewhere.
okay dealership, and we had a bakery,
Well, just a
Jesus
minute.
had a
Here we
bakery.
go.
Used to get off from the Planet 11:30,
Let's start.
watch them cook
Okay,
fresh
I'm going
donuts.
down. I didn't give you a well,
Okay.
I quit on the, oh, here we go. You mentioned Morris Waxing, didn't you, Bill?
Yeah, waxes. and
Morris
babies.
Waxing, he had a store downtown. And, then the barbers, we haven't got that, have we? Barbers that were in town sooner or later was, Bus Williams, Bush Williams, his father, Buster and Jim Donnelly, Ben Livingston, and Larry. What was his name, his last name? Anybody know Frank?
No.
You know Red, he used to be right down there where the old butcher shop used to be. Larry, his first name was Larry.
That's all I can remember, is Larry.
That was real early, that was a little
A
late.
little redhead guy,
Huh?
little redhead guy.
Yeah, Red,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cut
Anyway,
my hair a lot of times.
that's the Larks. Now get to other businesses, D.W. Dugan, and car sales, auto sales, mechanic business. Neese Bakery, of course, had bread and donuts. And his name was Albert Neese. And there was a movie house next to him, started by Andy Brennan. And after he sold out to A.C. Locke, L-O-C-K-E, in the public libraries on the corners. We had doctor's offices down the hill from this. The doctors that I remember that were in it were, not at the same time, of course, Dr. O'Sullivan, O.E. Hensley, E.J. Sin, and E.G. Verzola.
Remember Rankin?
Pardon?
You remember Rankin?
No, I don't remember. Franklin, did you say?
I thought she was a
There
nurse.
was a nurse too. He was a doctor too.
Well, I don't remember him, I remember her.
Then, of course, Bill's wife was a nurse down there for years and years. Came off.
Yeah, Dr. Wyman was in one corner of that building. Was a dentist, married the Dugan girl.
Then on down in the corner was the bowling alley, and Leeville Pete Baker ran that thing. And the service stations in town was, White Barnwell had one, Marilou, and Bud Moffin. There was Green Lantern down there, right across from the MS Hall. And Braden Rushing had a station, a little garage down there, right above where I had my farm. And Robert Evans Sr. ran a hardware store that was owned by Claude Lupke, and his boss, Bud Barrett, ran it after Bob was in there, I think. In fact, furniture and hardware was all down on the corner. And next to the old post office there was Butcher Lou's Butcher Shop. And he sold meat only. And his name was Lou something, but I don't know his last name. And Walter Side, Clue, and Marie had a TV shop there. Homer Coleman had an upholstery shop. Guy Barnwell had a notions and liquor establishment. And Bill Cromer had a hotel and also a boarding house there. And I later bought the old hotel and tore it down for material in it, and sold a lot to Doe Run Company. And there was a tailor shop on the other side of the street next to Beckman. And hats and other stuff was a guy named Isaac Sachs. I never did really know him personally, I was too young, but I heard a lot of stories about him, and I feel like I know him real well. Anyway, that's,
There was a bank down there. You remember?
no, it's for Bank of Herculaneum. The guy who ran it was named Fatty Geiser, and later became the Herculaneum Savings and Loan. And W.L. Gaybar was the secretary treasurer. And arrested. He was arrested then. John Veda Allen, and Leo Culver, Minnie Carter, my father-in-law, Estes Jack, and Liz Chatfield, mother-in-law, and Bud and Reese Sparks. The insurance man down there was John Rapp. C.W. Cad Lupke had a pool hall. Lloyd Lupke again had a trucking business where he hauled meat, I think Bill will tell you something about that. I think he worked for him for a while. And the shirt factory in the dairy up here, bus service, Bill G. Garr Dunnigan used to run a jitney between here and Festus for the workers down there. Shoe factory in Pittsburgh. And I run a taxi cab down here for a while, and so did Jim Beaumont. And the two bootleggers was Arndale and Willis.
Frank, what was the population roughly around here? Back in
Actually,
About 1,200, I think.
What's your good wrong? When was that? In the 20s or up in the 30s?
Well, it never did change much, you know, until it started building.
Well, you know, they tore a lot of houses down in the early 30s.
Yeah. I'm talking about it at its peak before it started really progressing.
I really don't know what it
I'd say 1,200.
Oh, 1,200?
Yeah.
Okay, well then Frank, what's your fondest memory of Herculaneum?
was. Well, I would say it was a good place to work, a good place to live, and raise my family there. I was there during the Depression. I was there when things was the poorest, but I seen him come to the top, and I think I'm seeing him with that youth now. And Mr. Isabel, he was superintendent of St. Joe, he told me, he said, Frank, now he told me this about the 50s. He told me my dad, he said, Frank, he said, you're going to see things get better than what they are now. But he said, you ain't going to see it. Your sons ain't going to see it, but your grandchildren's going to see it. If there's going to be soup lines here, like there is in the other countries.
What about you, Elmer?
Well, there used to be an old KP Hall, and the families used to get together down there, and I think Everett Hawk, the Bates family, Everett played a fiddle, and I don't know, they used to have dances down there on Saturday night, and they used to have Easter egg hunts there for kids. This is later on. And baseball games on Sunday, we used to have a lot of them here. And then the 175th anniversary that we had, that was great. That was great. And then every year the fire department or somebody would bring a carnival in. And but can I get back to history just a little bit more? We was talking about years ago, Doe Run didn't allow any taverns or anything in town, and that actually I think this is what started Peebly, and they hired some old boy ran a what you call a while ago a jitney over to Peebly and they'd go over there and get their booze and everything. They could drink over there. That's but there was no taverns in town. That's what tickled me. Then later on, when you said about population, I said 600 because I didn't think there was that. But later on, we had 5 taverns going all the time, didn't we, Ty?
That's quite a few.
So beer, after beer prohibition came back, beer was a hot item.
Well, I'm going to go a little further on that too, Red. After they allowed beer in Herculaneum, there wasn't no hard liquor allowed. I hate to tell this one myself, but I used to do a little bootlegging myself.
Yeah, man.
And, go ahead, Bill.
Many times you'd be drinking coffee in the tavern, but it wasn't coffee.
Do you mean it had white lightning in it?
Oh, yeah, white lightning.
It wasn't bottle stuff, it was coming from bootleg stuff.
Bill, what was your fondest memory?
I'm with Tiny. I can't help you anymore in what he's
Well, I
already told
had
me.
a fond memory, but surely you have fond memories.
Not really, you've already covered it.
No, you have.
can help you out.
Got anything else, Oscar?
You want fond memory? Yeah, well, certainly, I guess. It's important to any of them. My fondest memory is when Mr. and Mrs. Chatfield moved to town. And brought a beautiful young gal named Bessie. And I looked at her one day when she's across the street and I said, man, look at that. And my fondest memory is when I met and married her.
Aww.
It's a good one.
I could say the same thing. I just lost my wife in December, and we was together 60 years, 1 month, and 7 days, I believe it was. And I want to tell you, young people, love one another. Don't ever go to bed at night being mad at each other. If you're married or when you get married. And right now, if you have any enemies, do everything that you can. Put your arms around them. Say, I forgive you. That's the only way and believe me, because once they're gone, once things that you have are gone, it's tough. But I would like to get back to Tiny. Us fellas, I think Betty was only 17 years old when he married her.
Oh, what that old?
Yeah,
16.
16, and we used to kid him about robbing the cradle all the time. You don't. Well, you wasn't down to Artesian. Oh yeah, we used to pitch horseshoe and stuff down there, and cart ball games.
Oh, cart balls, softball, horseshoes, yeah.
My brother owned a store over in Illinois, and I used to go there on Saturday and help
Bottle
around
caps.
camp with farmers.
Well, yeah, we had that down there too.
In the store, we had bills with me. I had never paid any attention to them, and one time my sister-in-law was in the office and said, can we bring Renita down to Herculaneum? Will you show her around? And I said, yeah. Pretty well acquainted with her, I don't know her. So anyhow, they brought her down and we went to the show that night. And that's when, and from every Saturday on, I was working for my brother.
But really, you just wanted to go see her, right?
And 3 months I was married, and in October we will be married 59 years.
Huh?
A really good life together.
I can remember. I just gassed my car up the other day, and I told the girl inside. I said, you know, whenever I was a kid, I could have drove all summer for what I'm paying you for this right now. You could buy gasoline for 8 gallons for $1 and a nickel. And you could get a pack of cigarettes for 11 cents. And I used to take $1. Of course, it was hard as all get out to get the $1. But you could take $1 and buy you 2 gallons of gasoline, a pack of cigarettes, and go to the show and have some popcorn, and maybe even a Coke, and have maybe a few cents left. But boy, those bucks were hard to come by.
What kind of cigarettes did you buy?
Camels.
Didn't you have wings?
20 grand. Yeah, they had wings and 20 grand, and
Head play, the bone, big bone.
The name of Bull Durham?
Oh, yes.
marbles. Remember marble cigarettes?
Don't forget the chewing tobacco in there.
Oh yes, I got sick on that one time.
Horseshoe and star and beech nut.
First time I ever chewed that, I got sick, and I had some butterscotch candy. And the candy tastes so bad, I gave practically all of it away. And after I got well, I thought, oh my gosh, why did I give that candy away? That was good.
No, I took chew once
Did you
too.
get sick off of chewing?
Did you got sick off of it?
If you swallow
Did
it,
I sit down there. What do you say?
Did you
I
chew
tasted
anything
it.
else?
Oh yeah, I used to chew a little bit. Smoke all my life.
I showed one of the first ones before him, I chewed it, I could too. Very much a big chew, I was chewing for more. And you know what? I haven't chewed since.
I'll tell you another thing was tough, chewing back there. Twist.
Yeah.
They smoke it and chew it both.
Greens or dress.
That was too strong.
Fritz Meng used to smoke that.
Then they
fire.
came out and beach nut, and it was real sweet, and boy, that was a joy.
Yeah.
Okay, before we close up, did you guys want to add anything else to say to the Bicentennial Committee?
Do what now?
Did you want to add anything else before we close up today?
Add anything you say?
Well, yes, I just like I said a while ago, I hate to see that they tore down all these houses, but they have. And I mean, there's no sense to cry over spilt milk, I guess, but I sure would have liked to see them being able to rent them to senior citizens and things like that, because the rent is pretty cheap. And, but I guess they figured grandparents are gonna have grandkids coming in, and grandkids is gonna get out there in the yard and play, and they're not gonna, that's the whole heck of it, they don't force. I don't think any of this would ever started if the people were just taking care of their children and had them wash and everything before they eat. But I know, I was a boy, I could pet the dog and pick up I don't know what and go in the house and grab an apple and eat it. But I hate to see the old town, it's completely gone, Ty. There's no houses
Yeah, as we do it.
There's no houses left here at all.
And last one on Circle Street.
Concrete Town's still over here. Yeah, this is all used to be Concrete Town. And then over the hill in Peabody, that used to be Slab Town. Had a lot of houses built over there covered with slabs, I guess. And you don't know what slabs is, that's what
Sheep
the...
sheds.
The what?
Those steep, stucco houses, they call sheep sheds.
Oh,
But I've had some real fond
Only about
memories.
2 of them left over there, dear friend.
Let's see, there's where Hunts lived and where Welcher
Lived
lived.
and where Willie Belcher lived.
Only 2 left in there.
Flat roofs, almost.
Now, they tell me the houses on Hill Street, they tore down the dairy barn over there and built those houses.
Tore that what?
A dairy barn.
Oh, yeah.
It's in 1918, they said.
And we used to sleigh ride out the golf course.
yeah. I
And
see that.
have a bottle of whiskey sitting in the snow.
4 roses.
Yeah.
Four roses.
That's what the old boy said.
Don't forget, it was 4 roses.
Had it made home brew,
Homebrew, huh?
just for their own family.
Mm-hmm.
No, I can remember Doug Thomas fixing up those gin rinkies in that tin cup and passing it around.
Yeah.
You would be afraid it's all get up to drink that much after people today, but we didn't then.
Nobody ever got trench mouth from
No,
it, did they?
nobody ever got trench mouth or AIDS or anything else.
Alright, well that's about all the time we have today. Appreciate you guys coming in and telling us about everything. Fun. Got to learn some stuff.
We hope you got some good information.
Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
don't forget about loving and hugging one another.
I won't.
Before you leave, I want to show you